This is the Troll Patrol. Live. With Justin. FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol. Live. You know what, Green Alley? I'm glad you brought it up. You're going to miss this show. You can't believe this is the last one. That's not exactly true, but we do have a very big announcement. In 1 month, on April 20th, this show will be celebrating its 1 year anniversary. That is correct. On 4/20, we will be broadcasting several hours. We're going all out. We're going to be going on the air at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to share 420 on 420 on the 1 year anniversary of the Troll Patrol. We might go all night long. I just realized that I don't have the phone lines up yet or the Discord, so let me pop on that. 917-830-4359. We've got a jam-packed show tonight. Apparently, Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden are going to have it out. The challenge has been thrown down. We've got a wild-ass video of a dude pulling ears out of his pockets. Apparently, this happened in the last day or so. We're going to talk about the new CDC guidelines for schools. Along with, we were on Trump Dies of COVID watch, and I had put it down to just a warning, I guess. No longer on a watch. But part of Mar-a-Lago has been shut down due to a COVID outbreak. Also, another Trump news. Apparently, people can't stop punching him. A Jack in the Box employee was stabbed over wearing a mask. We're going to talk about cancel culture. Jimmy Fallon shut down a joke about unions. Meanwhile, Spain is experimenting with a 4-day work week. All that and more here on the Troll Patrol. Welcome, Raiders. It is a Friday night. I have the party lights on. You know what Friday means. Smoke them if you've got them. I'm not high enough for this shit. We're going to start it off with the president throwing down. Vladimir Putin inviting Joe Biden to debate him. As if they're on Twitch or some shit.
Когда мы кого-то изучаем, или мы думаем, что изучаем, у нас складывается впечатление, что мы смотрим на объект нашего изучения через лупу. Или как минимум через прозрачное стекло. На самом деле.
Any time I've heard comments from Putin, he always speaks in these riddles. This is interesting. We have the impression that we are looking at the object of our observation through a magnifying glass.
Мы, как правило, смотримся в зеркало. Вот, ну, чтобы нам не пикироваться.
In fact, we are usually looking into a mirror.
Мы должны продолжать отношения. И более того, вот, знаете, сейчас я подумал вот о чем. В прошлый раз инициатива телефонного разговора исходила от президента Байдена. Я хочу предложить президенту Байдену продолжить наши дискуссии.
I would love to see this. The condition that we actually do it live online. I would not recommend that Biden do it.
Онлайн. Но без всяких задержек, а прямо вот в открытой прямой дискуссии. Мне представляется, что это было бы
something Russian proverb.
России и для народа
It would be interesting. It would be incredibly. I, as just an observer, would absolutely love to see it. However, as an American, I guess I'm a little biased. I wouldn't want to see Biden would get destroyed by Putin in a debate. It might be honestly though, it might be a good way for Biden to shore up support here in the country. But then again, Republicans seem to be on the side of Russia. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Fox News seems to be up Putin's ass about all this.
У нас, как на самых крупных ядерных державах, лежит особая ответственность за стратегическую безопасность на планете. Сталкивается сегодня человечество.
Biden is not the sharpest anymore.
Я хочу съездить в тайгу, немножко там отдохнуть. А так можно было бы.
Okay, it looks like he's already finished with his remarks about Biden. Biden has responded. I have no clue what he said. I believe this was as he was leaving for Atlanta earlier today.
What's your reaction to China last night?
I'm very proud of the Secretary of State.
Are you going to take Vladimir Putin up on his offer to talk live with you?
I'm sure we'll talk at some point.
Are you going to impose sanctions on Russia, sir?
Pardon me?
Are you imposing sanctions on Russia, sir?
That'll come in time.
That will come in time, he said, about sanctions on Russia.
The new goal for
We hope we can keep the pace about 2.5 million a day, which would mean that we may be able to double it. But we may
Hello!
continue to move forward.
Good evening. The Biden said, we'll see about sanctions. That'll come in time. His response to Putin challenging him to a debate is that he's sure they will talk soon. So now, just a few minutes after this is... Let's see where the... This is Biden boarding Air Force One. I honestly feel sorry. He broke his foot or his ankle or something not that long ago. Oof. It's one of those things where he tried to stop himself twice and then he just had to fall. But how long's it been since he's had that boot off his foot? Well, I mean, having it live would be fun for us as the viewers. But I mean, that's not the way diplomacy is done. I honestly feel sorry for him about that being captured. I'm sure Fox News is playing that over and over and over again. New York Magazine reporting on how the Trump lackeys are teaming up again with Putin to mock Biden, which once again, they're going to throw in the trip. This week, asked by ABC News if he considered Vladimir Putin a killer, President Biden responded in the affirmative. Putin responded by challenging Biden to a debate this weekend. At this point, Donald Trump's allies immediately weighed in on Putin's side. Here's Donald Trump Jr. The whole world knows that we have no leadership at the top, just an empty suit with a teleprompter, and he can't even get that right. They look at America's weakness right now and are salivating. Interesting that the dictators aren't. There was somebody else, I think it might have been Lauren Boebert. Representative Boebert tweeted out today about China, North Korea, and Russia and their response to the Biden administration. And somebody responded back to her that's not the own you think it is, that the dictators are hostile towards our president now. speech. So I'll get you up, Media Winch. So Biden called Putin a killer. Putin challenged Biden to a debate. Biden says that he's sure they will talk sometime and that we'll see about sanctions in the future. Obviously, the primary reason Biden spurned this challenge is that world leaders do not customarily drop everything and fly somewhere to hold televised debates with each other. Exactly, this isn't Twitch. But Hannity and Donald Jr. Instead decided to endorse Putin's preferred interruption. Putin's preferred interpretation that Biden only refused his manly challenge out of the cowardly realization he is too feeble-minded to debate Putin. The Ben Shapiro of dictators. The idea that Hannity and Jr. are repeating Russian propaganda is a little overblown. Their claim Biden is senile was not invented in Moscow. It's an exaggeration. It's an exaggerated partisan attack line that flows predictably from the obvious fact that Biden is old and speaks haltingly and trips as he's falling upstairs. Less accurate to say Republicans are repeating Putin's propaganda than to say Putin is repeating Republican propaganda. What's more significant is the context of Putin's taunt. Biden's response was a reference to Trump's repeated refusal to acknowledge that Putin murders his political opposition in a way American presidents don't. Alexei Navalny, still recovering from his latest poisoning. And we did have a report come out that Trump actually lied. Big surprise. China didn't interfere in the 2020 election because it didn't think it could benefit from Trump or Biden. The U.S. intelligence community found China didn't see an upside worthy of interference. The declassified ODNI report said targeted economic measures and lobbying were preferred instead. While China was on the U.S. intelligence community's radar for potential meddling, along with Russia and Iran, the report found that the superpower sought stability in the relationship with the United States. Instead, Beijing settled on more conventional, targeted economic measures and lobbying as their forces, regardless of the winner. As their focus. China considered meddling, according to the report, but stopped short of what Russia and Iran did in actually pursuing ways to influence the outcome in its favor. Now, if you remember, I believe Barr said something about China interfering in the election. I believe Pompeo said something about China interfering in election. Republicans latched on to the name Beijing Biden. They still call him that. A Fox News report found no business dealings between Biden and China. I had never heard of Biden having business dealings with China. Biden is bought and paid for by the U.S. credit card industry. So I have no clue what any of these right-wingers are talking about when they say Beijing Biden, but the name is catchy. I will give them that. In the House today, Nancy Pelosi was asked point blank about Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Sponsoring a resolution introduced today by Congressman Jimmy Gomez to expel
Colt City. Wasn't that a song around like 2011, 2012?
House Democratic
Colt City,
leadership
bitch. Colt City, bitch.
And do you think that Congresswoman Greene should be punished further in any way for her past comments?
I'm not going to get into that. It was members are very unhappy about what happened here, and they can express themselves the way they do. What Mr. Gomez did is his own view, and that is not a leadership position. Yes, sir.
I'm wondering how you think the problem on the border, if you have any updated views on that and what the administration
I'm not exactly sure.
should not be doing on that front.
I think that the administration is pulling this thing under control, and I think it's important to know that. The difference between the attitude toward the people and the children is so different in just these 2 months versus what happened in the past 4 years. In the spring, as my colleague, Congresswoman Escobar has said, who represents El Paso, in the spring, more people do come. So there will be more, as there are now, but they have to know, as the president has said, don't come, and how can we address
Nancy is never
the
on
challenges
point
in their country so that they stay home. But since they are coming, they fall in different categories. And
I have no clue what she's talking about.
Has plans in place to take care of the children in a much more humane way than before.
Oh, so now we're the border crisis.
Have more facilities, more beds, and the rest until we transition these
The
children.
Republicans are definitely trying to make an
Nearly
issue.
half of them, say 40-some% of them, have a parent in the country our country that we can transition to. Closer to 3/4 of them have a
You
family
can see that this
member,
was titled "Ask
not
Point Blank"
necessarily
about
a
Marjorie
parent
Taylor Greene.
in the country that we can transition them to. But they go from the Border Patrol, and then they go to the what's called ORR, the organization, the Refugee Relief, and then a transition out. So that is being with the FEMA at the border and the rest. The administration is addressing.
But that is what the Republicans are trying to use as red meat to throw to their base.
Recognition that COVID is playing a role in how people need to be separated, and so this adds to the challenge when more people come. And we had like 13,000 beds, as Congresswoman DeLauro, under whose...
I'm not even sure she gave a clear answer about Marjorie Taylor Greene. Representative Cawthorn
Madam Speaker, I rise and
was also talking about the border.
Consent to address the House for 1 minute and to revise.
I have no clue.
Without objection, the gentleman.
She was originally asked about Marjorie Taylor
recognized
Greene,
for
and
1 minute.
didn't she went off on the border
There's nothing
conditions?
an American will not do to defend his country. I rise today in defense of my homeland.
And that's what the Republicans keep talking about. They want to change the topic to the border. I was going to do the story earlier in the week. Kevin McCarthy led a whole cabal of Republicans down to, I guess cabal isn't the right word, a convoy of Republicans down to the border to do some stunt press conference. And you're getting ready to see more political theater from Madison Cawthorn right now.
I am angry, not just for the destruction of American values perpetrated by those on the left, but I am angry because my colleagues simply do not seem to care. They do not care that our border is non-existent, that 6,000 criminals cross into our country daily. They do not care that 64% of federal arrests are of illegal immigrants. And they do not care that America's welfare and infrastructure system simply cannot handle this influx of criminal immigrants. They do not care.
The 64% of federal arrests, that makes total fucking sense. Like, that's the federal government's jurisdiction in terms of law enforcement. The only other thing that you would really use federal law enforcement for is like racketeering, tax crimes, and good Lord, we don't prosecute that kind of shit in the U.S. I wish we had more federal agents prosecuting rich people for tax avoidance, bank fraud, shit like that. Then that number wouldn't be so high when it comes to arrests by the federal government.
Because to them, power is all that matters.
Yes, he has, I believe, multiple accusations of sexual harassment against him. He also, for the longest time, I thought he was injured while serving. No, motherfucker was in a car wreck, never actually served. But that's one of the things about Republican propaganda is like they gave him this air of being a like disabled vet. Even I thought he was. And like, oh shit, he didn't serve? I have no clue how he got elected. He's from North Carolina, too.
And they do not care that America's welfare and infrastructure system simply cannot handle this influx of criminal immigrants. They do not care because to them, power is all that matters. I have a message to the power-hungry and the partisan. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It is in the nature of Americans to be kind.
Yeah, the Naval Academy thing.
And loving. But know this, when it comes to the matter of protecting our friends, our family, and our heartland, do not trifle with this representative democracy. For we the people will not stop. We will never back down.
Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it.
Those dear to us.
Gentleman's
This is
time
our
has
country.
expired.
This is our republic. Finish the wall.
His little stunt of pulling off his mask there. Finish the wall. Shit like that is not going to help the Republican cause of getting back their corporate donors, though. Congressional fundraisers lobby corporations that suspended political donations following Capitol riot. Fundraisers for congressional candidates and party campaign groups are lobbying corporations to resume political donations after many suspended their contributions. Dozens of corporations paused, at least temporarily, donations from their political action committees after the January 6th riot that led to at least 5 deaths. That day, more than 145 Republican lawmakers, encouraged by then-President Donald Trump, voted to dispute the results of the Electoral College. We know that. Most companies have since said they are reviewing their PAC's policies on whom they will give money to in the future. Some companies decided to pause contributions indefinitely to GOP lawmakers who challenged the election results. Other businesses opted to suspend donations to candidates across the political spectrum. The NRCC recently put together a list of corporate donation policies, which fundraisers expect to use as a tool to coax companies into giving again. One of the people said, people and groups with ties to Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell have been actively reaching out to corporations to get them to start donating again. Representatives from the congressional committees did not return requests for comment. Some companies did not deny that they had been contacted by political fundraisers. However, computer giant Dell Technologies said it doesn't plan on changing its mind. We have no plans to revisit the decision to suspend contributions to members of Congress whose statements and activities during the post-election period weren't in line with Dell Technologies. Representatives for JP Morgan Chase and Citigroup said they are continuing to review their policies, declining to comment further. Goldman Sachs spokesperson said the bank had not yet heard from anyone about when it might start making contributions again. There you go. If Michael Dell thinks you're a loon.
As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
So, people can't stop punching Donald Trump. Or at least the wax figure of him. A wax figure of former President Donald Trump has been pulled from the floor of a San Antonio museum for its own safety. Visitors to Louis Tussauds waxworks inflicted enough damage with punches and scratches that management decided it was best to remove the statue from the display floor, at least for now. The gouges to the wax dummy were deep. Hold on, do we have pictures? Oh, please tell me we have pictures. Oh, it's a paywall. Nuts. Didn't they? I'm not sure. Did they have to remove his star because people kept desecrating it? The Hollywood Walk of Fame? Or is it still there? Mar-a-Lago! Partially closed due to COVID outbreak. Hold on, let me
Trump dies of COVID watch.
So we're bringing back the graphic. He may get reinfected. Former President Donald Trump's Palm Beach Club has been partially closed because of a COVID outbreak. That's according to several people familiar with the situation, including a club member who received a phone call about the closure on Friday. A receptionist at Mar-a-Lago confirmed the news, saying it was closed until further notice, but declined to comment further. Ooh, Media Winch is correct. Only we're over here on Edge, so it's a Bing search. Aw. See that People article, it linked back to the local news, which, I mean, that's cool. Go support the local news site. I don't blame them, because, like, people want to see the pictures of the damage. They put it behind a paywall. I don't blame them. I'm down with it. The gold statue from... Surely that was just gold-plated. It could not have been solid gold. Republicans are fucking, like... They're cheap. Those Republicans. It was like painted gold or something. It was not actually gold. I am pro giving money to any compromised community. Down syndrome victims people with Down syndrome deserve more support. I do too much news calling people victims. What was made in Mexico? The wax figure? So, a person familiar with club operations said that out of abundance of caution, the club had partially closed a section for a short period of time and quarantined some of its workers. People spoke on condition of anonymity. The extent of the outbreak, what portions of the club were closed, or how it was affecting the former first family weren't immediately clear. Oh, the gold statue from CPAC. It was not solid gold, though, surely. So the CDC has issued new guidelines about schools. They can now space students 3 feet apart. I do not know the reasoning on this. Trust the experts. The CDC has updated its guidance for schools. On Friday, the agency announced it now recommends that with universal masking, students should maintain a distance of at least 3 feet in classroom settings. Previously, the guidance stated physical distancing at least 6 feet should be maximized to the greatest extent possible. The new guidelines still call for 6 feet of distance between adults and students, as well as in common areas such as auditoriums and when masks are off, such as while eating. And the 6-foot distancing rule still applies for the general public in settings such as grocery stores. The change is momentous because in many places around the country, the 6-foot guidance has been interpreted as requiring schools to operate on part-time or hybrid schedules to reduce class sizes. A 3-foot rule would allow many more schools to open in person full-time. The revision was spurred by some new research, including a study published March 10th in the journal Clinical Infectious Diseases, which looked at schools in Massachusetts where districts were given a choice of distancing students either 6 or 3 feet apart, and where the majority of districts also required universal masking. The study included more than 500,000 students who attended school in person last fall. We didn't see any substantial difference in cases among students or staff in districts with 3 feet versus 6 feet, suggesting that we can open the schools safely at 3 feet, provided that some of the mitigation measures that were present here in Massachusetts are in place. That is another thing they highly recommend. Having windows open when you can, ventilation. I actually saw something where it might have been somebody on Reddit, so take it with a grain of salt, that they said old schools built at like the turn of the century had these big drafty windows with the hot radiators. And that was so they would be able to go to school and they could crank up the radiators and open the windows. They still had circulation of air. It makes total sense. You're welcome. I'm glad I could remind you of that. So a restaurant in Texas
to wear a mask.
Is
Eric Alvarez spoke with 2 owners who are charging a hefty
they think they're
price
funny
if you don't mask up.
Legends Diner in Denton
We do a surcharge.
is serving up a side of science.
$50 if we have to explain to you why a mask is important.
Plus a $75 surcharge if owner Wayne Lacombe has to listen to why you disagree. The tongue-in-cheek sign in the window has gotten a lot of support in person.
Laughing, taking pictures of it.
I love
and
it.
online.
Mostly great reactions.
But co-owner and Wayne's wife, Kat, fielded one comment that was less than enthusiastic.
Oh, I'm sure.
Trust a restaurant owner to give him medical advice.
It didn't end well.
Kat is a retired RN from medical oncology for the last 28 years.
Kat's lengthy Facebook response draws the distinction
Hell yeah.
between safety precautions and government restrictions.
Give them some business too. Pick up a sandwich.
Some things must be done without someone telling you to.
I understand that they're tired of this, but COVID's not.
Support local business.
Recently got the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine here at Texas Motor Speedway.
It's really going well.
Where Denton County Public Health Director Dr. Matt Richardson says 12,000 vaccine doses a day are only part of the solution.
We still want people to wear masks. We still want people to be physically distant.
Back at Legends Cafe, a second sign in the window reads, "Wear a mask." Only a small percentage have been vaccinated. Wayne Lacombe says business owners want things back to normal.
When we checked the other night, it was 11%. Probably about 13% now. %12 are fully vaccinated. Around 23% of the U.S. population has received the first dose of the vaccine. Speaking of the COVID vaccine, insane news. Scientist behind coronavirus shot says cancer vaccine could be available in a couple of years. The scientist who won the race to deliver the first widely used coronavirus vaccine says people can rest assured that the shots are safe and the technology behind it will soon be used to fight another global scourge, cancer. I saw that story about 1/3 of the military. That actually makes perfect sense. You know, I have my doubts about it too, but she was one of the researchers that brought us the coronavirus vaccine. Yes, getting to the herd immunity is going to be difficult, unfortunately. Oh God, I'm going to try to say her name. I'm going to fuck it up here. Özlem Türeci, who co-founded the German company BioNTech, with her husband, was working on a way to harness the body's immune system to tackle tumors when they learned last year of an unknown virus infecting people in China. Over breakfast, the couple decided to apply the technology they'd been researching for 2 decades to the new threat, dubbing the effort Project Lightspeed. Within 11 months, Britain had authorized the use of the mRNA vaccine BioNTech had developed with U.S. pharmaceutical giant Pfizer, followed a week later by the United States. So there you go. They had been working on it for decades. They were working on a vaccine for cancer. And I guess now they're feeling confident about it. So that is fucking awesome. What's not awesome is having to talk about the asshole shooter in Atlanta. You may end up with a iPad between your shoulders. If it turns you into a frog, is it going to be a gay frog? That's my question. Are the frogs already gay, or are they still turning gay? Is there only like half a chance of being a gay frog? I don't know what my cats are into over there. Calm down. Georgia sheriff spokesman removed from spa shootings case amid racist Facebook posts and controversial comments. Cherokee County Sheriff's Captain Jay Baker recently came under criticism for saying Wednesday that the 21-year-old man accused of carrying out the recent spa slayings that occurred in the Atlanta area had had a bad day. On Thursday, he was removed from the case. Earlier Thursday, before Baker's dismissal from the case, Cherokee County Sheriff Frank Reynolds had defended the spokesman's comments. In a press release, Reynolds said comments made by Cherokee County Sheriff's Office Captain Jay Baker have become the subject of much debate and anger. Inasmuch as his words were taken or construed as insensitive or inappropriate, they were not intended to disrespect any of the victims, the gravity of this tragedy, or express empathy or sympathy for the suspect. It sure seemed like he was expressing empathy for the suspect. Apparently he has unwavering ties to the Asian community. Following Baker's comments, a Facebook page appearing to belong to him had resurfaced, containing a post in which he promoted a t-shirt with racist language about China and the coronavirus last. Okay, that's just rehashing everything else. Now, after the shooting, the suspect's church, the shooter's church, completely disappeared. Their entire online presence gone. So my first question was, what were they teaching in that church? Today we found out a little bit more about that. Atlanta shooting suspect's church bashed radical feminism in deleted sermons. The Southern Baptist Church, attended by the accused Atlanta area mass shooter, promoted strict, uncompromising views about sex, gender roles, feminism, and the importance of obeying the government. Any government, even in North Korea. Holy shit. This is a whack job church. In recorded sermons that have since been deleted from the church's website, lead pastor Jerry Dockery decried radical feminism and criticized recent shifts in gender roles as the work of Satan. Radical feminism has engulfed our culture like a tsunami, Dockery told his congregation on September 20th, 2020. We're now striving for gender neutrality, for gender fluidity, you name it. It's just gender whatever you want. And I would say to you that this is a blatant, I will say it one more time, a blatant guidance, direction, and strategy of Satan to oppose and usurp the authority of God.
You to wear a mask. Eric Alvarez spoke with two owners.
Their video over here started again, out of nowhere. Might have been an act of God. The Crab Apple First Baptist Church in Milton, Georgia, now finds itself engulfed in crisis after one of its congregants allegedly killed 8 people. At first, the church where the gunman was baptized in 2018 reacted to the tragedy by locking down its online presence and nixing access to its website, Facebook, and Twitter. But it reemerged Friday to denounce the suspect's wicked act as antithetical to its beliefs, rebuked that his religious views could have played a role in the shootings, and begin the process of revoking his membership to the congregation. Shall we take a look at the statement from Crab Apple First Baptist Church? On Tuesday evening, we heard the tragic news of the brutal murders of 8 individuals. We are absolutely devastated at this senseless loss of life. We grieve for the victims, blah, blah, blah. We were absolutely distraught when we found out that the shooter was a member of our congregation. The Long family have been members of our church for many years. We watched Aaron grow up and accepted him into church membership when he made his own profession of the faith of Jesus Christ. These unthinkable and egregious murders directly contradict his own confession of faith in Jesus and the gospel. We want to be clear that this extreme and wicked act is nothing less than rebellion against our holy God and his word. I'm sorry, I've read the Bible. There's a lot of murder in it. Aaron's actions are antithetical to everything that we believe and teach as a church. In the strongest possible terms, we condemn the actions of Aaron Long. It's kind of funny if it's antithetical to everything you believe as a church. Why is it that when you found out who it was, you took all your sermons down? Isn't that kind of an admission of guilt? Holy shit. Shall we find out what Tucker Carlson had to say about the gunman? You know it's bound to be
Police say a
eye-rolling.
21-year-old man called Robert Aaron Long walked into a massage parlor outside Atlanta and shot.
I'm sad that he reminded me what that dickwad's name was. I had already I've forgotten it every fucking time. I showed his picture just a couple of times last night, and both times I can't fucking remember what his name is. Good. Don't give him the satisfaction.
5 people. Long then drove to 2 other massage parlors in the city and shot another 4. Of the 9 people Robert Long is accused of shooting, 2 were white, 1 was Hispanic, and the other 6 were Asian women. Of those 6 women, according to the South Korean government, at least 4 of them were Korean. Police caught Robert Long within hours as he was driving his Hyundai south on Interstate 75. Here's the Sheriff's Department's press conference from yesterday explaining what happened next.
The suspect did take responsibility for the shootings. He said that early on once we began the interviews with him. He claims that these, and as the chief said, we know this is still early, but he does claim that it was not racially motivated. He apparently has an issue, what he considers a sex addiction.
Because we should believe the mass murderer.
Something that allows him to go to these places, and it's a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate.
So the police took a long and detailed statement from Robert.
A temptation that he wanted to eliminate. The church took all their sermons down.
Robert Long, and to restate what you just heard, here's what they found. Long immediately confessed to these crimes. But while he admitted to committing multiple murders, which is a death penalty offense in the state of Georgia, Long denied having any racial motivation. Instead, he told police he had a sex addiction and a, quote, issue with porn, and that he shot up massage parlors in an effort to eliminate his own temptation to visit them. Police arrested Long as he was heading...
Well, I mean, he eliminated his temptation.
...more people in the sex industry. So Robert Long was fixated on prostitution and pornography, and that's why he said he committed the murders. The next day, information came to light that seemed to confirm his story. A man called Tyler Bayless said that he shared a room with Robert Long in a Georgia rehab facility last year. Bayless was there for drugs, but Long was there for sex addiction. Quote, "It was something that absolutely would torture him," Bayless said, speaking of his sex addiction. And while at the facility, Long frequently relapsed and went, quote, to massage parlors explicitly to...
It's all bullshit.
So as a result of this torment that he said he experienced, Long told police he shot 8 people.
This is the worst form of victim blaming.
Alicia Hernandez Ortiz remains in the hospital tonight in critical condition. According to police, Hernandez Ortiz had nothing to do with prostitution whatsoever. He just happened to be walking past a massage parlor on the way to another business when Long shot him. So those are the facts as we understand them tonight. An honest reporter might follow those facts in a number of pretty obvious directions. Robert Long seems deranged, but his...
In Minecraft again,
also seems sadly familiar.
They burnt Atlanta down once before.
A number of Americans struggle with mental illness. It'd be worth knowing much more about Robert Long's life.
It has been burnt to the ground once before. I'm assuming the Minecraft was a reprieve of that.
Why is there so much prostitution in Atlanta openly? Google business listings show more.
Yeah, that's exactly. Here are the facts as we know it, because Tucker has kind of obfuscated this. None of the businesses are alleged to have, been ones that were offering happy endings. They weren't illicit sex shops. Apparently, they were reviewed on a couple of erotic sites. But there is no evidence so far that they had anything to do with prostitution. So why Tucker Carlson has his over-the-shoulder that says human trafficking, why he's talking about prostitution, he is like conflating things. We don't necessarily know that there was anything to do with prostitution. Apparently the mayor of Atlanta said the 3 businesses were on the up and up. So go ahead, make an ass of yourself, Tucker.
Year-old Alicia Hernandez Ortiz remains in the hospital tonight in critical condition. According to police, Hernandez Ortiz had nothing to do with prostitution whatsoever. He just happened to be walking past a massage
Glad you brought that up.
Another business when Long shot him. So those are the facts as we understand them tonight. An honest reporter might follow those facts in a number of pretty obvious directions. Robert Long seems deranged, but his obsessive and violent behavior also seems sadly familiar if you follow the news closely. An increasing number of Americans struggle with mental illness. It'd be worth knowing much.
Whoa, and that, no. You're trying to paint this as some sort of issue of mental illness is just a scapegoat as well. And also helps to further stigmatize mental illness after so much work has been done to destigmatize it. So fuck you, Tucker Carlson.
Then there's the very real question of sex addiction, which we should not laugh off. Why is there so much prostitution in Atlanta openly? Google business listings show more massage parlors in Atlanta than Starbucks outlets. Who works in these places and under what conditions?
That's kind of shocking.
That's not a hard question to answer. Wikipedia has an entire entry on human trafficking in the state of Georgia. According to the DOJ, Atlanta is a major...
Starbucks probably has a lot of competition in Atlanta.
Girls. It is, quote, one of the 14 U.S. cities with the highest levels of child sex trafficking. A competent media might tell us much more about this. Knowing more facts and rationally assessing them might improve.
One of the largest cities in the South.
But that is
of course
not the coverage that we are getting. It's not even close to the coverage we're getting. Instead,
it has nothing to do with what he is not an honest reporter in any way.
Apparently was not a racial attack. White supremacy and hate are haunting Asian Americans, CNN confidently announced in a headline. David Lebron, the president of Rice University in Texas, may have been watching this. He immediately issued a
Absolutely, that's what I said. This
LeBron
is the worst form of victim blaming.
Key facts about the killings completely wrong. Not that facts were the point of the statement. The point was making certain that everyone reading
No, facts are definitely not the point of your statement, Tucker.
The deliberate use of such terms as the China virus to foster bigotry has played a significant role.
And we've seen the reports on hate crimes in the Asian community.
No evidence. Quote, sadly and predictably, this escalation of racially biased hatred has led to violence. So he's telling us it was entirely predictable, because once you describe a Chinese virus as Chinese, people are naturally going to start murdering Korean women. Could have seen that coming. Harvard couldn't resist getting involved.
Damn!
Bigotry against Asians is a pretty sensitive subject at Harvard, given that Harvard University is one of the very few institutions in American life that has publicly admitted committing it. Many schools do, but Harvard got caught. Over the course of many years, Harvard has denied admission to Asian students precisely because they are Asian. If there's a clearer definition...
That's a very good point. Like, they know the difference.
Harvard doesn't want to talk about it. A mass murder in Atlanta was the perfect way to change the subject.
To them, they're all just Oriental, and I know Oriental is
Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have been blamed for the pandemic.
Racist term. That's what I'm saying. That's what they are to them.
Came from Wuhan. A mentally ill sex addict is certain to shoot up a brothel in Atlanta. Seem far-fetched?
What? What? So much of that was wrong. So much of what he said was wrong. The brothel, mentally ill, all that shit. Sex addict, sex addiction isn't a fucking thing. Oh yeah, all the anti-Muslim attacks against Sikh people. That's a fantastic point. People don't know the fucking difference between a Sikh and a Muslim. God damn. And we know what rhetoric can do. We know what rhetoric causes. The anti-mask rhetoric causes shit like this.
These
at
are
a
the
Jack in the
brief
Box.
moments leading up to a violent attack against a fast food manager.
When officers arrived at the scene, they found the shift manager leaning against the counter with multiple stab wounds.
The manager at this Jack in the Box restaurant off 45 South in League City was rushed to the hospital and is expected to recover. Police say it started when the manager asked this man, James Henry Schultz, to put a mask on or use the
This looks like the kind of guy that would stab somebody over a
They did not
mask.
want to serve him because he was homeless and began yelling that he would be contacting his attorney as he was filming with the cell phone.
In this video, you can see the manager holding up the restaurant's written policies as he escorts Schultz to the door.
The suspect walked towards the door as if to leave. The manager turned his back and the suspect ran up behind him, tackled him, and stabbed him multiple times.
As Schultz remains on the run tonight, neighbors here say they're shocked.
That's pretty extreme.
Put it on, eventually we'll get to take them off and go back to normal life, I hope so. But no need to kill somebody or injure somebody over it.
There's no reason to let it get to that point. You can go, you can refuse to do business at those locations or whatever it is you choose to do.
Or like it is not worth the salary he is making to get stabbed by
The suspect
somebody.
used a pocket knife in the attack, a weapon they believe he may still have. In League City, Shelley Childers, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Wait, they haven't captured him yet? What the fuck? Police are looking for a man who allegedly stabbed a Jack in the Box manager multiple times. This is in League City, Texas. A lot of these things are popping off in Texas, I assume, because the governor lifted the mask mandate. So everybody thinks they can be maskless everywhere, correct? Which is another reason why The mask mandates by governors are so important. It takes that burden off of these establishments. That fucking poor guy probably making what? $8, $9 an hour, maybe $11 if he's lucky, at a fast food fucking restaurant. Well, it said he was a manager. He might be $13 or $14. Poor, it's not fucking worth getting stabbed, that's for sure. White people had to make it racist. Yes, they did. Now, wild video. I'm going to assume this is out of Florida until I find out differently. Oh, yeah, there we go. Watch Florida man casually pull ears from his pocket. I've been trying to get this to play earlier was a bitch. I have the local news story just in case. I wanted to watch all of this unedited. That video is not cooperating with us. Let's watch the local news story about it. Accused of killing his grandfather.
Dad popped his gun. He tried to attack me and I killed him.
A man accused of killing his grandfather.
Oh. What?
Junior?
Yeah. Where's Junior?
Ronnie Jr. right here. Then cutting off his ears and putting them in his pocket.
He Van Gogh'd him!
Those are ears. Then, to make things worse, he tries to take off on deputies.
Hey!
What?
33 traffic light, we're fighting them.
Now see, don't you wish we could have seen the whole thing?
77-year-old grandfather came at him with a knife while the two were smoking pot.
His story, though, later changed. Fox 35's Holly Bristow.
Sure that wasn't meth.
Been going through all the new videos. So, Holly, what does
PCP
happen here?
Well, investigators say that after Colby Parker was arrested, he admitted to deputies that he picked up a baseball bat, bashed his grandfather in the head several times, then proceeded to stab him repeatedly. They say that Colby Parker also said that he wanted his grandfather to be with his grandmother. Now it's his time to go, and that he even admitted to cutting off his grandfather's ears.
Ronnie.
Why the ears?
What is that?
Those are ears.
We're blurring the video because it's too disturbing to show you. Lake County Sheriff's deputies interview Colby Allen Parker about...
I wanted to show you!
When he pulls his ears out of his pocket.
I don't know where Junior is. I asked and he didn't know. So... What?
No, I'm kind of surprised. Like, did you hear how, like, nonchalant? Those are ears. Maybe he was stunned by it, but it seemed so, like, matter of fact about it.
Yeah. Show you. Lake County Sheriff's deputies interviewed Colby Allen Parker.
Oh yeah, this is Florida.
Plays with his grandfather when he pulls his ears out of his pocket.
I don't know where Junior is. I asked and he didn't know. So...
Oh. Let me show you.
Junior? Yeah.
And it was like, please notice he's not fucking handcuffed. This admitted that he killed somebody is not fucking handcuffed. What the hell?
At one point, Colby Parker asks for the deputy's gun. Seconds later, he lunges at them, leading to a tussle. Taking 5 deputies and a taser to get him under control. This all starts with a slew of frantic 911 calls, the first from Parker himself.
I like to report an incident here. I just had a Vietnam veteran attack me and I had to defend myself. And it just got out of control.
Oh my god! I was just like now, like I'm like imagining like Cotton from King of the Hill. No, he was a World War II vet, wasn't he? Like, just coming at him with a knife and shit. He's a Vietnam vet. Like that makes it better. He's trying to portray how dangerous this man is and unhinged, I assume.
From his friend.
just called my phone, and he was, just sounded high out of his mind. I was like,
It was not pot.
His grandfather that he lives with, and he's like, no.
No, he wasn't a Vietnam vet. His grandpa that he killed was a Vietnam vet.
He tried to attack me, and I killed him.
When deputies arrive on scene, Colby Parker was sitting on the tailgate of his pickup truck. As deputies try to verify his story,
hold your hands out like this.
No problem.
They determine he's not injured. His story not quite lining.
I hope you were here for all this. We'll go back and watch it again. The ears that he pulled out, those ears were of a Vietnam vet. Those ears had seen combat, sir. They were over in the Pacific Theater. Jesus.
Up with his call for help.
We were smoking a bowl of pot on the table. We were just sitting here talking.
They were not smoking pot.
He grabbed a hold of the knife and tried to swing at me, and I had to defend myself. And now he's sitting here dead.
Colby Parker is now being held at the...
I shouldn't laugh. This is a horrendous story.
Investigators are waiting on toxicology reports to figure out exactly what he was on. For now, reporting live, Holly Bristow, Fox 35 News.
I can promise you, personal experience, like pot does not do that to you. Hands down. That did not make me want to murder my grandfather. Oh, wait a minute. No, I don't want to murder my grandfather.
God told us that we were going to reach a peak in our culture.
Pastor Greg Locke, one of my favorite religious assholes to beat up on. The veteran should be commended for his years of service. That was fucking awesome. Pastor Greg Locke going off on cancel culture. This is a religious nutjob pastor from Middle Tennessee.
In which good would be called evil and evil would be called good. And we're exactly there at this exact moment. I mean, come on, you can't even talk about Mr. or Mrs. Potato Head without hurting someone's feelings. We have now successfully banned Dr. Seuss.
That is not true in any way, shape, or form. Nobody is offended by anybody talking about potato heads. Nobody banned Dr. Seuss. None of this is real. It's all imaginary persecution.
Dumbo, Peter Pan, and Looney Tunes because, of all things, a skunk named Pepe Le Pew that's not been on television for 20-something years is a misogynist and a sexist.
Apparently he was in the movie that's getting ready to come out.
You have some
not anymore.
well-paid entertainers wearing barely anything, humping around like a bunch of farm animals on stage to some of the most godless, wicked, vile lyrics you could ever imagine. To the
macaroni in the pot, that's some wet ass pussy.
God forbid would ever cancel something like that. That is so backwards, ladies and gentlemen. That is so buck wild and ridiculous. And the fact that parents and pastors and people in general are not standing up and saying something about it is alarming. We have got...
Well, first of all, that's all you fucks ever talk about. Constantly. I think that's all you preachers have to go on right now. That's your grift at the moment. So the idea that nobody is saying anything, like what world do these people live in? You have to be sheltered. You have to not go outside your fucking church. And why the fuck does he even know about Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion? Why is a pastor watching the Grammys? It's not for you, motherfucker. I don't get it.
Got to get to a place where we have had a gutful of this cancel culture, and we cancel culture, because eventually it devours itself.
Oh, that's so witty. Nobody ever thought about that one before. Cancel culture
is sexist, and yet Cuomo is still in politics.
Let's make bullying kill itself. That was a South Park line from fucking 10 years ago.
You see, it's so hypocritical. They say one thing and they support something else.
Cancel culture is ridiculous. It is just that. It is a culture of being canceled. It is nonsense. It is hypocritical. It is imbalanced.
Now, realize, this guy is bitching about how his message never gets heard. I'm the complete antithetical to his viewpoint. The complete antithetical viewpoint. That's what I was trying to say. And I'm playing his video in its entirety on my show. But yet, cancel culture is a thing. God damn.
Itself. Hollywood's finding that out. These singers and songwriters are finding that out.
It's not just like I ran the board for a Church of Christ motherfucker. He didn't like music at all. He thought all music was of the devil.
Years ago, and they are using it against them. Yet at the end of the day, wickedness is running rampant in the streets. People are denying the reality of the Word of God. America is in a mess. We've had crazy things happen in our election process, and yet people want to get angry at Mr. Potato Head, at cartoons, at things that were said or stated years and years.
He doesn't even believe his bullshit. Look, he can barely hold it in.
Face the facts. And the facts are, we are in a cultural nightmare of a mess, and we've got to stand up and push back against this foolishness.
And apparently business is good because 2 years ago, when I was watching this motherfucker's videos, they were all on his cell phone in his fucking car. Now he's got a studio. Ooh. But hey, these motherfucking Christians can make a lot of money off of piggybacking Cardi B and getting clicks and views. Just like Tucker Carlson played it over and over and over again. They're all talking about Cardi because they know the people like the salaciousness. It's so transparent. And now I'm going to be honest, I like Skillet. I think they're a decent band. I've never liked their preachiness, and their last few albums have been pretty up their own ass. The last thing we need is more Christian religion all up in our government. Amen, brother. Skillet frontman John Cooper warns that Grammys, Cardi B are part of oppressive woke culture that's increasingly calling evil good and good evil. That's the same thing Locke just said. Not only that, he said leftist culture is requiring that you agree or else. No. We're not requiring that you agree. We're just making fun of you for being fucking stupid. Right-wingers are morons. Exactly. They're trying to cancel Cardi. Well, they're not so much trying to cancel Cardi as they're just trying to ride her popularity. That's all it is. John Cooper, frontman of Christian rock band Skillet, went beyond merely disagreeing with the highly sexualized performance of WAP from Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. He made a crucial observation about where our culture is quickly heading. We're living in a world right now where there are certain Dr. Seuss books that you cannot sell on. Like, it's the same. They're saying the same fucking thing. Here we go. Here's the video.
What's up, everybody? Cooper Stuff, 10-minute talk. All right, Cooper Stuff reacts to Cardi B's performance at the Grammys. If you haven't seen it, you don't really need to. Pretty weird stuff. All right, I'm not just going to go off on this for no reason. There's a reason we're talking about this. This is a perfect example because it's so silly and so overt and it's so obvious. It's a perfect example to talk about some of the things, the larger picture things. And so for Christians and people that are struggling with wokeness or social justice, and you're like, I don't know.
That's some cool hair, bro.
Emotional arguments, and you feel stretched. When you have those things, I want you to remember this Cooper Stuff episode because this is going to highlight how silly and ridiculous our world has become, okay? Look, we're living in a world right now where there are certain Dr. Seuss books that you cannot sell on eBay, all right? They are just too much for anybody to even be allowed to buy. They're being yanked down from all the bookstores and stuff like that. It's just too much. It's too evil. So you can't go on eBay.
No, it's not that they're not allowed to buy it. It's that eBay doesn't want to create this like
applaud the sexual degradation,
rareness, and market for it.
Simulating sex together on the Grammys. This is the perfect example.
One can make the argument that makes them that much more valuable. But if you don't have an eBay to sell them, they're kind of worthless.
Don't love people, right? You're actually not nice. This is the perfect example, you guys. Let me read you a scripture you all know. Isaiah 5:20. This is perfect.
Of course, I know Isaiah 5:20.
There's a lot in the last couple of years. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. That's it. There's your Bible lesson for the day. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. I don't think that would ever really happen.
Did him and Locke...
It's been happening in America for the last 2 years like crazy, right? Especially the last 5 years, especially during the last year. Woe to those. Why would anybody ever call evil good and good evil? It's simple. Because they just redefine the terms.
Good and evil are subjective. There is no redefining the terms. They're always like, morality is subjective.
Says that what they were doing was good. That's what they believe. You go back.
Calling something evil is a judgment call, you bitch.
He's like, I'm going to set people free from the bondage of the 10 Commandments. In his mind, he's a liberator. It's always like that, you guys. All you do is you just redefine evil and you redefine good. That's what's happening right now on the Grammys. This silly.
I shouldn't have watched this. I'll never be able to listen to his music again. As I said, like last couple hours.
It's always been over-sexualized. Yes, okay. Of course, Grammys have always been over-sexualized. Music has always been over-sexualized. Hollywood's always been over-sexualized. Two differences, and they matter. Number one, this is just a step.
I want to point out, one of the first things people did when the camera was invented was like go film themselves having sex. Honest to God, go look it up. How about the First Amendment? Seriously, like you want to talk about cancel culture? Like you're fine to do your thing. Like, hey, Cardi's not for you. Don't listen to her. Don't watch her performance. Problem solved, right? No, but it's not about that. It's not about you. We're in a capitalist society. Let's see how many views he's gotten from fucking Rubes. 16,000 views on his little video ranting about Cardi B. What does his normal videos do? Oh, so he's already got like double. Yeah, 9.4, 6.8, 7.3. So yeah, he's got double the views because he talked about Cardi B. I know how this works, motherfucker, because I do it too. It's one of the reasons why I do a topical show, because I can throw videos up and they just like randomly are popular because I'm talking about a topic that's trending. I'm on to you, motherfucker. You're just piggybacking off of Cardi B. That's what's shameful. That's what's shameful, motherfucker. You're using Cardi. You say she's so fucking vile, but you're using her for views. They can't see how hypocritical they are. John Oliver asked Alexa, what is union busting? He was on with Jimmy Fallon the other night.
Your rotten heart.
Oh my God. This is clearly not a commercial.
I'm glad it's an Alexa and it won't trigger mine.
In which case, I've got another one. Alexa, how bad are Amazon working conditions?
Alexa, stop. Sure. Alexa, stop.
Jimmy Fallon, shut that shit down.
No, Alexa, what is union
Alexa,
busting?
this is me time now. Alexa, stop. Stop, please. Alexa, please listen to me.
Speak from your heart.
Now, fucking Fallon taking up for the man here. Fallon tries to interrupt in a way that comes off as just a little too desperate and panicked to be completely in on the joke, leading Oliver to ask Alexa, what is union busting? Obviously, Alexa was never going to answer any questions about Amazon's working conditions, but the clip is classic Fallon in inappropriately dismissing something really, really important. Hey Google, what's union busting? Oh, my filter didn't let it do. Fucking Google is totally reading exactly what union busting is. Thank you, Google. I bet Alexa really would tell you to go fuck yourself. Do any of you have an Alexa? Ask it about union busting. I would be interested to see what it says. Amazon working conditions. Spain to experiment with 4-day work week. An idea whose time has come. I've been saying it for years. I think we should have a 24-hour work week instead of a 40-hour work week. It drives up the cost of labor. When you make something more scarce, it drives up the cost of. I think your overtime should be counted on the day and not the week. These are all ideas that their time has come. You should get overtime if you work over 6 hours in a day. As the coronavirus pandemic changes the way societies around the world view work, Spain has announced it will begin a limited trial of a 4-day work week in a bid to boost productivity, mental health, and the environment. The Guardian reports. I'm not even gonna take a try at that. The small left-wing party, whose proposal for the trial work week reduction was accepted by the government last month, called the experiment an idea whose time has come. The real debate of our times. Okay, Aragon, I guess. I'm sorry for fucking it up. Noted that Spain is one of the countries where workers put in more hours than the European average, but is not among the most productive. Well, yes, congratulations on your new gig, Media Winch. That does mean that you will be joining me more often, correct? I think that is very popular. Indeed, while other countries, most notably Finland and New Zealand, have explored a work week reduction, and while France adopted a 35-hour work week in 2000, Tejero noted that a pilot project like this hasn't been undertaken anywhere in the world. Hell yeah. The benefits of a 4-day work week include reduced unemployment, increased productivity, and greater employee well-being. All these things have been studied. Like the average worker only does like 3 hours of work in a day. And when you see the way employers treat employees, you definitely shouldn't be on a job where you could possibly get stabbed or get fucking $915 in pennies sent to you. A man waiting for his last paycheck from his old job gets $915 in oiled pennies. They weren't just pennies, they were oiled up. A Georgia man received quite an unpleasant surprise on his driveway recently after asking his former employer for his final paycheck. He was shocked to find $915 worth of oily pennies on his driveway Friday, 4 months after he left his job at Walker Luxury Auto Works in Peachtree City. Oxley tells People that the pennies were the exact amount that her boyfriend's final paycheck was worth. She believes his former boss, Miles Walker, was behind the stunt after Flatten complained about the delay in receiving his money. At first, we got a special offer from people. At first, we were super ticked because we were trying to leave the house to go get my boyfriend some medicine since he had a stomach bug all day. We had to shovel pennies out of the driveway before we could go anywhere. However, after the first shovelful, all we could do was laugh because this poor miserable man took so much time to be vindictive and cruel. We absolutely refused to let him ruin a single moment of ours. That is hilarious. There is what $915 worth of pennies look like. It said oily pennies, but they look pretty shiny. Oxley wrote in her Instagram post that Flatten allegedly provided his boss with a written resignation letter and 2 weeks' notice back in November. Though he had intentions of working his last 2 weeks, Flatten ended up leaving after 5 days because his boss was allegedly treating him very poorly. Walker continued to make a normal workday hell, making unnecessary comments about my boyfriend's daughter. My boyfriend respectively delivered his uniforms washed and in a box, complete with another letter as to why he was leaving early. 3 months later, he still hadn't received his final paycheck, and when he contacted Walker, the boss allegedly refused to send out the last paycheck, claiming damages to the shop. Oh, fuck you. There is a Godspeed You Black Emperor song called Bosses Hang. It's a really good song. Or it's actually like 4 songs. Flatten later called Georgia's Department of Labor to complain about the situation. And then things escalated from there. Once the word lawyer was introduced, this is what he did. What? Atop the 500-pound pile was a handwritten note that read, "Fuck you." I'm not sure what's worse, the fact that this man is so miserable he can't accept an employee leaving because he's the biggest asshole I've seriously ever met, or the fact that he went through that much effort to get $915 worth of heavy pennies just to say fuck you. So they scooped the pennies into a large wheelbarrow and are currently working to clean them so they can cash them. Fucking $915, that's not an insignificant chunk of change. That's like the price of my new couch and my new armchair. That's what I spent my Biden bucks on. In the week following her post, Instagram users have expressed their disbelief over the situation. With one person writing, "You have no idea what's on those pennies." I mean, I would assume that if he was that vindictive, but like I would assume like he didn't like cough on him or anything. God, he probably did. Assholes. So I'm pissed off about the boss, but hey, they handled it well. Still, it's kind of a shitty story. So let's end tonight on a cute story. Oh my God. All cops are bastards, including this cop. But at least she did something cool and she helped the little ducklings out of the road. I'm a sucker for a cute video. So cute. One more time. Oh, those are precious. Oh, yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that was awesome. Fuck the cop, but the ducks were fucking amazing. You guys know how much I enjoy animal videos. Alright, that'll do it for me. I'm going to send you guys, if you're watching on Twitch, I'm going to send you over to Dog Midnight. I'll hang out with you for a little bit. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We will see you Monday night on the Troll Patrol. Live.